I've made new felt animal ornament patterns for this year. This one's a ptarmigan. It was at the request of my spouse to go with the other tundra themed ornaments I made, but it's so cute and stylized it could be a dove or other bird. Let me show you how to make it. First, transfer the pattern onto felt, and these scissors are so good for cutting out small details. I have put together everything I use to make felt ornaments. You know where to look for it, and it's a button called Felt Ornament Supplies. Grab a beading needle, and you'll see on my pattern that it actually shows you where to stitch on the beads. When I filmed this video, I was just using my own mock-up, but I have it laid out for you so you can follow my guideline and stitch the beads exactly where I've placed them, or you can make up your own design because there is so much room for creativity with this pattern. I also have a detailed tutorial on how to stitch on beads and sequins, but you'll see that I just bring my needle up, slide on the bead, position it in place, and then push the needle back down. I like to stitch through bugle beads twice, but seed beads you can just stitch through once. I like to stitch on a smattering of beads because this is a snow-covered bird. And in my opinion, the beads are what really create the magic with these felt ornaments because they sparkle so beautifully on the tree. On the back of the felt, go back to your last stitch, tie off the thread, and then bury the end. Now for the eye, I use this 3mm bead, but you can also just use an embroidery stitch. And if you're finding it's a little bit loose, you can stitch through it a few times and then it'll be nice and secure. And on the back, create a knot. Here's where my pattern deviates from my other patterns. You're going to do a little running stitch just along the dotted line that I've marked on the pattern. This is going to separate the tail from the body. Now at this point, if you've used the dissolving stabilizer I recommend, you can just rinse it away. Let the felt air dry, or you can press it between 2 layers of a tea towel very gently on low heat. The next step is to stitch on the sequins, and I stitch them on one by one. Once again, I have a detailed tutorial on this. And make sure when you're stitching them that you're only stitching them onto the front layer of the felt, because that way when we sew the ornament closed, all of your stitches from sewing on these sequins will be hidden. Here's a tip: I used a large safety pin just to pin that back layer of felt out of my way. Now it's time to sew the ornament closed, and we're going to start at the top of the tail, going around the bottom and then to the left of the bird, stopping at the top of the head. I have a detailed tutorial on how to use a blanket stitch to sew felt ornaments closed, but I will just point out that for this bird, we want to make sure we're sliding the needle under the sequins and not through the hole. Continue with that blanket stitch all the way around the ornament. Next is time to stuff the ornament. I like the stuffing tool for getting into small areas. Then continue sewing the ornament closed with a blanket stitch. For the beak, I use thread. You can use embroidery thread. I bring my needle from the back and then I loop it across the front of the beak and then bring it back up through the back again. And repeating this stitch again and again is what will create the shape of the beak. When I'm done, I just tie off the thread on the back and then bury the thread under the beak. To hang it, I just use thread. The black sequins definitely give ptarmigan, but I think the white sequins look like a dove. I also made one with turquoise sequins, which is going to look so cute on my tree. I have patterns for all of my felt animal ornaments, but I'd love to know what you think of hubby's idea.